Kia ora everybody, welcome to Point of View. This is your monthly podcast talking about what is coming up in the cinemas and on streaming out there in the world of film. My name is Tom Augustine, thank you so much for being here. Today we have Tandi Wright in the studio talking about her excellent new film Evil Dead Burn. She is a really great New Zealand actress, kind of New Zealand acting royalty, so it's really great to be able to have her in the studio today. Stay tuned. I am so excited to have Tandi Wright in the studio today. Thank you so much for being here.
It's my pleasure. Great pleasure.
I am really fizzing because I've just come off the screening of Evil Dead Burn a couple of days ago, and I really enjoyed it.
I haven't seen it yet.
That's crazy. That's really. I think you're in for a good time. It's a really impressive film, and I was really stoked to be able to catch it. And I really one of the things that I really like about it is that it. About halfway through I was thinking, this is a great horror film, but it could also work as just this really, horrifying family drama. Kind of like something like Hereditary or something, which I think is kind of new territory for this series as well. Yeah,
that's right. And totally that's what I was playing. That's what... It's such an interesting thing. I thought I would, horror film, it'll be physically tough, I'll be running around covered in blood, but... the hard bit was it was so emotional. It was so much more emotionally deep than I was expecting, and I kind of hadn't thought of it. But the more I went into that material, I was like, this woman who's used to being in control of everything and protecting her family, and suddenly she can't protect anything. She has control over nothing. Her world is just disintegrating. It was like a wonderful domestic setting to play.
And it falls apart so rapidly as well. And you capture it really well. In the early scenes, there's a couple of scenes that really stood out to me. Right at the beginning, there's this funeral scene, and there's this ingenious use of construction noise in the background that's really sets your teeth on edge. And then there's this, and I think I've seen you speaking about it, there's this scene around a dinner table, and I was thinking these performances are really meaty and really so I'm interested in what kind of space you were given to perform it and to explore it as a drama and not just as a horror film, which is also very successful.
Yeah, totally. Well, I think as an actor, you just have to play the truth of the situation. I can't be playing I'm in a horror film. It's like this is real to this character.
Yeah.
That the dinner scene that you reference is interesting because it's almost the first thing we shot. We had some weather calls, which meant that got pulled up the schedule. And it's such an important scene and almost operatic in its scale, which is, I just love that scene. But we were like, you can't do this first. You can't shoot this first because we don't know what we're doing yet. But it was actually really great in retrospect that we did, because all of the family dynamics are on play in that scene. And we really bonded as an ensemble cast. We had a little tent off set where we went in between, and the darker the material gets on screen, the more stupid stuff happens in the tent, the more giggling and taking the piss and all, really important. And then when we go on to shoot the rest of the film, we have real relationships. The actors are using the real relationships, and there's real trust. And that's it's so important for the work. It just means you can go to a much more deeper, more interesting place quicker. Yeah, absolutely. And
it's interesting because, there is a way in which, and I think we've seen this in other Evil Dead films, it becomes like this kind of cartoonish, kind of over-the-top kind of assault of blood and guts and gore. And there is plenty of that in this film, but to find that balance, I think it does seem to come from that relationship between the actors.
Totally. And I think there are deeper themes as well, running through it, which you can take or leave as an audience member, but they're definitely there.
Yeah.
And Sebastian was always, Sebastian the director, was very clear, it's like, he's French. I am not making a dumb movie. I'm making a French movie.
I can see that. Not just because the main character is also French, which I thought was quite refreshing for an American American horror film as well.
Yes. Yeah, well, she's the outsider.
Yeah.
Coming into this insular American family.
Absolutely. But on that, I also feel like I was watching it and I came away thinking, obviously this isn't a New Zealand film, but so much of it screams New Zealand, from the locations to the presence in the top line cast of so many Kiwi actors.
Yes.
Which is really cool. And
Yes.
I was like, I think we can claim this as a New Zealand film.
100%. Yeah. Well, they've been making Evil Dead films in New Zealand since 2013.
Yeah.
And the beauty of Evil Dead is that our producer, Rob Tappert, has lived and worked in New Zealand for decades. And Rommel Adam, other exec producer, has also worked here a lot. And they know New Zealand actors and they trust them.
Yeah.
They know that we're as good as anyone else in the world and they're not afraid to cast us. So we've got 3 Kiwis in the top, like 50% of the top cast are Kiwis
So
in the
cool.
top 6. So cool. And should be the case all the time. But we currently, I'm Vice President of Equity New Zealand, which is the performers union, and we've been pushing on this for a long time, that we need stronger incentives to use New Zealand performers in lead or major support roles, because we are as good as anywhere else in the world. And this is so commonplace everywhere else, Australia, Canada, UK, all got really strong incentives to use their local actors, because it's good for the local industry.
Absolutely.
It's like we totally shoot ourselves in the foot when we don't do this. Because when we cast our actors in meaningful roles, they gain experience, they gain profile, they go on to work on other things, and then all of that beautiful experience they have, they bring back to the domestic industry, and eventually they can attract finance
Absolutely.
to both international and domestic productions. So it's kind of weird that we haven't jumped on this earlier, and I think it's just a hangover from the days when performing was kind of a hobby.
Yeah, right. There's like this feeling that maybe we are fortunate to have these productions come to New Zealand, but we shouldn't push ourselves too much.
Totally that. And we've
Very
we've set ourselves up as a service industry, really, which works well for crew in lots of ways, because the crew are busy and they are wonderful, amazing, and I'm all for that. But the bigger picture, if we use actors as well to be the front and centre of our film industry, that supports our domestic industry.
Absolutely.
And why wouldn't we do that?
Absolutely. I mean, you see in Australia, for example, we have people like Chris Hemsworth, Margot Robbie, who emerged from the Australian industry, and now top line movies draw people to come and watch.
Totally.
We could have that here as well.
Those guys did not come out of the womb more talented. They exist in an ecosystem that supports and protects them. In New Zealand, we seem to be allergic to any kind of regulation, but that needs to change, because there's money to be made in having really great high-profile actors.
Absolutely.
And now our screen industry is a $4 billion industry.
Yeah.
There's money to be made. And we've been telling successive governments this, and I think they're starting to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's good for everyone. It's good for our producers. It's good for our crews. It's because casting is like the fairy dust on a project. It's the bit that everyone understands, and actors are who the public love to follow, or love to hate, or love to love, or And the fact that we've kind of left our local performers out of the picture is shooting ourselves in the foot.
And Evil Dead is such a showcase for why that is crazy, because the three Kiwi performances in this who are top lining, you and Errol Shand and Luciane Buchanan, are just so great and so exciting to see, and you all by turns heartbreaking and also deeply terrifying in different parts of the film.
Thank you,
How do you manage that turn to menace from playing characters who are grieving and going through a really horrible? Is it an easy shift to go from grief to something much more sinister?
I think it's a beautiful acting challenge. One of the things that I love about, that I'm learning to love about horror, because horror freaks me out.
Yeah.
But the great thing as an actor working in this world, some of the most interesting roles that I've played in recent years have been in horror. Women are complicated. But because it's not quite the real world, it's a really playful genre.
Yeah.
So things can be heightened, they can be slightly operatic, and then very, very real. And some of this camera work on this film that Sebastian was setting up, holy hell, it was so beautiful, and shots that I've never seen before. So there's that kind of beautiful creativity and playfulness right through the genre. For me, in this role, it was very physical. It was I've never done so many physical warm-ups for a role as because when it was sort of like I have to get my brain out of the way to let my body know what to do in this, which sounds woo-woo and weird, but it's more like if I was in a fight or flight situation, my body knows what to do. My brain's going to panic, but my body is kind of like, that's what I'm wired for. And so this film felt like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I wasn't using all of this because this is like the technical, all of my heart because it was so emotional, and then all of the physical stuff because, was running around in stunts and upside down and, all of that stuff as well.
I'm so interested in some of the special effects in this because there's a lot of blood and guts and gore. And just like how much time goes into some of these, these are characters who are possessed by demons and get cut up and beat up and mutilated and so on. And so like how long does that process take and what goes into it? Yeah,
well, characters like Maud Davey, who plays my mum, she would be in makeup for it because she's only 60-something. She's young Maud, but they're making her up to look like about 85 because she had to have a level of fitness for that for that role. She's so cool.
She's so great,
oh my God, she's so fun. She's the comic relief. Hey, so she would be in prosthetics, I think, about 4 hours every day, and Errol similarly. When he, So, but the beauty of having such a kind of a strong heritage of making those films here is that our amazing creative HODs in the crew. Like they know what's coming and they're planning for it before it's happened. So I was listening to Jane O'Kane, head of makeup, saying that even before they've talked to special effects, they're building blood pouches inside the prosthetics and stuff because they know, they're planning for that. They've been in this world.
It's going to be required.
There's really strong DNA of those films here.
That's great.
I worked recently on the Spartacus at House of Asher, and that's similar. Being made in New Zealand for so long, people know exactly what's going to be required, and it just means you can up your game so much faster.
That's so great.
Yeah.
Now, you did briefly mention that you are not usually a massive horror watcher, and yet we know you and love you here in New Zealand for a lot of things, but I feel like internationally you will be known for this and for Pearl.
Yes.
So you're kind of emerging as one of New Zealand's great scream queens.
I'm a scream queen now. I love it. I'm into it.
Yeah, how does it feel to you being someone who is not necessarily a big horror watcher, but I feel like that is actually the case with a lot of really great scream queens, is that they are a little bit like antagonistic to the genre sometimes in their own time.
I mean, I've sort of been thinking about this, and when I was a teenager, there were quite a lot of horror films were about young women wearing not enough clothes, being chopped up in the woods, and it was kind of like, there's nothing for me here, But horror has changed. It's really evolved. It's having such a moment, right, with Backrooms and Obsession. But I think it's probably one of the most creative places now to explore and play. Whatever you want. So it has got. I think I need to get over my squeamishness. Although I was talking to Tamar, one of our publicists, our amazing publicist actually, and she was saying there have been studies about what's the purpose of horror biologically? What are we looking for? And there's something about that it creates emotional resilience among the audience. Yeah, I guess when you get frightened and you get used to that, and but I'm like, that's not great for actors. We
Yeah.
we need access to every emotion,
Absolutely.
possible. So
Yeah.
I don't really want to build up my emotional resilience in that way.
So you'll maintain your distance, probably.
I will.
Yeah, that's great. Did you watch the other Evil Deads beforehand?
I actually didn't, but I discussed it with Sebastian about, because ordinarily I would. I'd be big on, back catalogue stuff, but he was like, because, and if listeners don't know, every Evil Dead film is completely its own universe.
Standalone, yeah.
So you don't need to have, watch the others to enjoy, although most fans will have.
Yeah.
But I talked about it and he said, you know what, I think it might be better if you don't, because this film's not like the other ones. It's different in tone.
Yeah.
It's a completely different world. And so... yeah, I think that was the right decision for me.
Yeah.
To be like, I'm just making this. This is just Susan now. Here.
Yeah,
this is what's happening.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And I think it is testament to Evil Dead that it evolves and changes as time goes by. It started off as this very the original is this low budget, plays it pretty straight horror, and then it turns into this big cartoonish thing, and then it turns again in the modern day into a very visceral experience and then now it's got this element of family drama as well.
Yeah, but still humour through it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but what I love about what Rob Tappert and Rom Sam Raimi, what they do is they shoulder tap young directors who are coming through, like Sebastian, and so there's this really new, fresh energy that comes with them to create their own kind of world. It must be the most amazing kind of experience for those guys to be like, holy shit, now I get to
So
make
cool.
the film I've always wanted to make. And being on set with Seb was like that, and that there was this wonderful creative energy of I don't know how to describe it to do it justice, but it was like we're all aiming for the best, and everyone is feeding in. Yeah, it's like the best, not student film, but it's got the energy, the freshness.
100%. Yeah, that's what they said about Lord of the Rings. The first Lord of the Rings was that same thing.
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
Everyone's chipping in. Yeah. That's great.
100%. Yeah.
Tandi, it's so great to have you here in the studio. Thank you so much for being here. Evil Dead is going to be in cinemas. When is it coming
I believe it's July the 9th in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. That's great. Thank you so much for being here. Congratulations. I really love this film.
It's my pleasure. I can't wait to see it.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you. July is a big month for movies, with the arrival of major summer blockbusters from America, and it does feel like the rest of the film world is maybe kind of getting out of the way for that month and making a lot of space for them. So there's a lot of big titles coming up, but not a huge wealth of titles in July. So right at the beginning of the month, we have the arrival of the live-action Moana. Obviously, this is a major film for New Zealand because of, the kind of Pacifica element of the story. It is one of the live-action remakes of the classic Disney animated films. This one's interesting because Moana itself is really, really new and really fresh. So a lot of people are asking whether it's necessary to do a live-action version of this story. That said, there is a wealth of New Zealand talent involved in this story, in this live-action version. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is there as well. And then also at the beginning of this month, we have Jackass Best and Last. Now, the Jackass series is a really, really fun, very funny, long-running series, and it's it's often dismissed as a series of kind of juvenile antics, which it is to an extent, but there is sophistication there if you're looking for it. And these guys who are involved in Jackass are just so amiable and so fun to watch. And so they're putting together their final hurrah on film, and it looks like more kind of really, really enjoyable pranks and silliness. So that looks fun. Also, at the beginning of this month, we have the arrival of Andy Serkis's Animal Farm. Now, this one is, it has been quite roundly torn to pieces because it has taken that kind of sacred George Orwell text of Animal Farm and it's turned it into basically a children's film, which the original text was never really intended to be. You watch the trailer and it's a real head scratcher, particularly because of the wealth of talent involved in the voice cast. So it will be interesting to see how that is received by a wider audience. We also have Evil Dead Burn. Obviously, we're talking to Tandi today. Evil Dead Burn is the continuation of the Evil Dead series. Really, really great horror series. Really consistent. Has evolved from those iconic Bruce Campbell kind of action comedy horrors to something really sinister and gory and violent, and it's a different beast in the modern day. But there's a lot of really, really good stuff there, and Evil Dead Burn is very, very good. We also have The Invite, which is an interesting one. It's a 4-player kind of set in a single room kind of drama comedy and it's directed by Olivia Wilde, who doesn't necessarily have the best track record as a director, but she also stars in it. The advanced word is very good. It has kind of this Woody Allen-esque kind of vibe to it, which is intriguing. Really, really great cast. Edward Norton, Seth Rogen are there. It looks promising. Now, towards the end of the month, that's when those big blockbusters arrive. Specifically, obviously, the big one, the one that people have been excited for this year, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, picking up from his Oscar-winning run with Oppenheimer. This is his next film. It looks massive. Pretty much every famous person in Hollywood is in it. The scale is enormous. There has been some back and forth about the kind of Americanization of it, using kind of modern day parlances in the script and that kind of thing. But, any new Nolan film is a reason to go to the cinema. And so I will be there in IMAX. You've got to see it in IMAX if you're going to go and see The Odyssey, as far as I'm concerned. There's also Spider-Man Brand New Day, which comes at the end of the month. The Marvel series has been on a bit of a downward spiral recently. The Spider-Man films remain the bright spot. Those are the ones that people still flock to and see. Tom Holland is back as Spider-Man, Zendaya is there, and it will be intriguing to see where they go after the big explosion of that last Spider-Man film, which brought in, famous Spider-Men of past, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there. We also have these 2 interesting New Zealand films coming, which are I Object, which is Andrew Niccol's new kind of family film. Carl Urbana's in there in the cast, Anna Faris. It looks like a very interesting film. There's not a huge amount known about it. We haven't actually got a trailer for that yet, but it will be interesting to see what Andrew Niccol, the great director of Gattaca and so on, brings to the table here. There's also Stories About My Body, which is an adaptation of a stage show by Morgana O'Reilly, the great Morgana O'Reilly, who is well known and well loved here in New Zealand. It'll be great to see what that looks like on the big screen. And then also I wanted to highlight a lesser known film which has just been at the French Film Festival but is coming out this month in wide, which is L'Étranger, The Stranger, which is Ozon's take on the Camus novel. It's very interesting approach to the story. It's a very powerful film, and it looks great. It's well worth your time, particularly if you haven't read the original Camus novel. It's a real joy to behold. Premiering Tuesday, 21st of July, we have the exclusive Rialto Channel TV series, this really great Danish series called Carmen Curlers. Really great kind of heartwarming historical story. Basically, it follows an entrepreneur who has created a new electric curler, and he is trying to set up a factory, and he has this idea to hire women from the farms around the area, leading to the first time these women in this town have kind of being able to experience their own financial independence and that kind of thing. It's a story of, it's kind of this interesting kind of feminist kind of view on history and business. It's a really, really fun series, really heartwarming, and it should be a really, really good kind of winter watch. So that one is coming up on Rialto Channel. Now on Rialto View, which is your ultimate app for watching, independent, interesting film in New Zealand, we for this month, my pick is going to be a Christopher Nolan film. Now, this Christopher Nolan film has the special distinction of being his first. It is called Following, and it is quite a short film, but it's a really, really interesting glimpse at the kinds of things Nolan would make later on in his career when he had these massive budgets and this massive scale. It's the beginning of that career, and it's really, really great to watch with that kind of thing in mind. It has a lot of the hallmarks of Nolan's work, right down to the fact that the main character is kind of this semi-anonymous man in a suit, and the idea is that he is following someone, he's pursuing someone who he's intrigued by. It's a very, very interesting film, a really interesting start to a career that would go on to define film in the 21st century. So that one is my pick to watch this month on Rialto View. That's all we have time for here at Point of View today. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Tom Augustine. We'll see you next time. Ka kite.